Hey y'all.
Hello.
It feels great to be in your presence, even digitally.
Be right, please. You the boss man.
Chill. So we're here today.
Hold on, Manar, back up a little bit so we can see you.
There we go. Y'all see me?
The silhouette of greatness. Put the whole thing on there. We're here today to measure toxicity. This episode is called Measuring Toxicity. But before we go forward and dive into it from a personal standpoint, from a worldly standpoint, like, what does this toxic thing even mean? When was the first time you heard about like toxic as far as like, the lives we live? When did it come about?
I think it came about a couple years ago. I feel like the word was discovered and people ran with it real quick. Like anything that wasn't what they thought was good was toxic. Like anything that didn't align with people's views was automatically toxic. That's not really how it goes in my head. I'm a science person for one. So toxic to me, first definition is going to be anything relating to or caused by what? Poison.
Hold on. So we have an official A.Bevy Radio definition of toxic. Let me write this down. Say that louder for the people.
Okay, anything relating to or caused by poison is what toxic means. So in a human standpoint, I think it's anything that's harmful, to a person's being. Whether that's your physical, mental, spiritual self, that's toxic. And or anything that depreciates or attempts to depreciate your value. I don't think anything can depreciate your value, but it attempts.
Anything that attempts to depreciate your
value.
Your value. So just to catch up before, I'm sure she got a question for you. We got three, break the definition down into three parts.
Mm-hmm.
At least what I got. Anything toxic, a noun in 2020, anything related to or caused by poison.
Right.
Anything that's harmful to a person's being. And anything, emphasis on the anything, that attempts to depreciate your value.
Right. That's my definition.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing to add to that.
Based on that definition, and I agree. I mean, based on what you said, like especially starting off scientifically, something that's poisonous. So something that's poisonous to you.
Right.
That last one, and I love the order that you gave it because attempts to depreciate your value, it's a lot out here.
But it has to attempt because things aren't supposed to be able to. So that ties into some people are toxic to themselves. You allow things to. So now are you the toxic one?
So it's not him. Like, let's use example for it. So it's not him that's toxic. He not doing nothing crazy. I'm allowing it. So I'm the toxic person in that relationship.
To myself.
So let's take it from a relationship standpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where it originated, for me, whether we talking about future or whether we talking about future. It got to a point where I'm a music guy, so we look at you up there on DJ status with me, even without the parties. But if we go back and look at, R&B, certain sounds, there's kind of separation when love came, when it came to like pleading for love, being honest about the love.
Crying in the rain for love, okay?
All of that. So I think we hit a point to where I guess that term toxic came in because you could kind of degrade a situation, or I don't know if degrade is the right word. We say depreciate a situation.
The situation.
Intentionally and brag about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And still move forward in building that relationship. So from your standpoint, how does the word toxic apply to relationships?
From my standpoint, honestly, I think it's overused in relationships. I think we have become accustomed to painting this picture of people And then when they do not align with the standard that we have for them or for them in our lives, we automatically call them toxic. But really, we just lost the art of seeing people for who they are. Because 9 times out of 10, people will show you exactly who they are. So we strayed away from that, started painting these images of people. When they don't meet up to that image, we're like, dang, they're toxic. No, that's not really the case. That's not always the case.
So in that sense, with your definition and how you feel about toxicity and how it's used in relationships, do you feel like if someone is labeled toxic, poison is poisonous to everybody?
Right.
So if there's poison in this room, whether you walk in it, whether B. White walk in it, whether I walk in it, we all gonna get poisoned. So can I personalize that person like, oh, they're toxic, but you meet them and they're the best thing in the world? So was that person really toxic?
That's my point. It's somebody might take you at face value. Somebody else might, be like, well, you're not aligning with my needs. So they might be able to call you toxic. But the next person that's taking you at face value can think like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Like,
so do you think Future is toxic? Because I feel like Future is toxic.
Okay, here we go. I personally don't, because he shows you who he is. He shows you, like, but if somebody is honest with you, that's not really toxic. He's telling you, this is who I am. He's showing you, this is who I am. You're walking into the trap, and then you're like,
so now let me use your definition against you very quickly. Okay?
Okay.
Nowhere in there did it say toxicity is the hidden poison. It's not secret. He told us who he was. He's still poisonous. So nowhere in there did it say it had to be hidden or manipulative.
Okay. By the science definition, yes. By the somebody that is harmful, you have to allow somebody to harm you. If you were never in my life, how can you harm me?
But see, listen, that doesn't take away. That is about the reaction I get. Okay, that doesn't. A poison ivy tree is not. It's still poison ivy whether I rub it on my arm or not.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. We cannot say, even though I decided to rub it on me, all of a sudden it became toxic. Now I'm the toxic person. If that thing poisonous, it's poisonous over here, over there, everywhere.
That is true. But if nobody's walking in the forest, guess what? Nobody's gonna get poisoned.
But is it still poisonous?
Did the tree fall even though you didn't hear it?
Whether it hurt somebody or not. I think we can't measure toxicity based on your reach, your ability. A lot of people call Future, like, they over exaggerate his toxicity because of his reach, because he's famous, because he's a celebrity. Honey, if Future was a nerd in a corner doing the same behavior he doing, that is still a toxic nerd, okay?
That is. No, I can agree. Excuse me, I can agree to that, but I personally think a person is as toxic as you allow, I guess. I cheated tried on that, but I still believe, like, you're walking into it, so I can't.
I think we agree that the harm done by that person is based on us. If I decide to walk in that room and inhale that poison, that causes me to be negligent, and now I'm dumb. But it does not. I can definitely agree to that. But it don't stop the room from being poisonous.
Right. All right. I can agree to that for sure.
So let's take it to another level. When we're talking about us being able to make decisions as far as the relationships we place ourselves in, from a worldly view. Again, the definition that we have deemed it as, we have no arguments with you. Toxic being anything related to or caused by poison, anything that's harmful to a person's being, and anything that attempts to depreciate your value. So let's take it out of relationships, and from a world standpoint, how, Manar, in your life, your experiences, what you view today in 2020, how is the world toxic?
I think, I'm going to say the world is toxic because I think there are moments where we are not allowed to think for ourselves. Okay, we are allowed, but we've gone in this motion of moving in like a herd instead of being individuals. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of times where you find yourself trying to keep up, or you're trying to live by somebody else's rules, and it's not the best for you, so you're causing harm. And I'm not the one to be like, oh, you're always the cause of your own problems, but a lot of times
you definitely walk around with a mirror. We're not even about to sit up here on Beyonce's internet and act like Manar don't walk around with a mirror. Every time you tell her something wrong, she'd be like, but have you looked at yourself lately?
You feel me? Like, I might be the problem, but you might be part of the problem too.
That's
So,
real.
yeah, I think it's toxic in that way. I think it's people aren't being individuals anymore. People aren't, thinking for themselves. The world is really like moving on this. You have to be a specific person to find success. You have to be the specific person to find love, or like.
Would you call that the poison? That's the poison.
I think mindsets are the poison. I think that's what it is. We're losing individuality. That's poisonous.
So as you define toxicity, the term toxic for A.Bevy, I feel like something you're saying, you're basically letting us know that we have a decision to let toxic into our lives or not. Like it's all based on us. It ain't got nothing to do with what's going on out here, whatever the enemy is talking about, whatever trials and tribulations that the world is throwing at us. We have a decision to have a mindset that's toxic or not.
I'm going to say it's not all based on the world and everybody around us, because at the end of the day, like, people have to be accountable for themselves and others. But I do think there's a big portion of it that you play a role in your own life. Like, you ultimately have the control. I'm not saying there's not other factors that play a part, but I feel like at the end of the day, you have the biggest role in your life. You wake up with yourself every day. You live with yourself. So what are you going to do about it? How are you going to move?
I'm agree with that, but you know what? I'm agree is that's the damage the toxicity causes. But toxicity is separately, poison is poison whether you touch it or not. That's just how I feel about it. The damage that comes from it, that's your decision. You see warning signs, you see poison, whatever it is, but like a venomous snake is venomous regardless. Whether he used it or not, he venomous. So
I can definitely agree to that. I do think just even, growing up with Yaya, we've always had, this is the different mindsets that we've always had. Like, I'm always like do for yourself. Don't worry about what's going on over there person. So, yeah, I can see that though.
I definitely think that's dope. I think it's dope, and we appreciate you coming in to define toxic for us. And I think from a simpler standpoint, you definitely define it on a view that a lot of people aren't even willing to connect with. The idea that there are things out here that if I'm toxic, I allow it into myself. But from a viewpoint of like something small, like somebody who is filled with hatred, somebody who's evil, somebody who wants the worst for you, how do you deal with things like that by your definition are toxic? How do you deal with those type of things that exist in the world?
I feel like if there's somebody, in my space that I feel like is bringing me down, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say forgiving, but I'm a very like chances person. Like, maybe so and sudden change, or maybe they were going through a rough time. But at the end of the day, if you're bringing me down, you're depreciating my value? No, you gotta go. Like,
you gotta go.
There's not, and it's not like I'm just cut you off, you cold turkey, but I'm definitely gonna love you from afar. I'm definitely gonna, have a little stiff arm on you for a second. Like, you can't come in here. This is positive energy. You
all right,
bring that to the table.
My last question.
I got one right after this too. I'll follow you.
Do you feel like every person has toxic behaviors or abilities in them? Is that part of human nature?
I think it's innate. I do. I think anyone has the ability to harm somebody else, whether they want to or not. I think you just have that ability. Whether that other person allows you that power over them or not, that's different. But I do think everyone has that ability.
Okay.
And my last question now that if, right,
Mhm.
if there's a government that has strategic goals to keep a certain group of people down,
Mhm.
if there's a society who looks at Black people or minorities in general around the world and looks at them as less than,
Mhm.
or if there's a culture that looks at women, makes things harder for them.
Mhm.
By definition, they're toxic, by how I described them. How do you then deal with that as basically a part of our world that you can't just run from?
You can't control. Like, it's not a part of your. It's not in your control.
One, I'm gonna throw out the if, because that all of that exists. That's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's two ways. I'm very big on combating things strategically too. Like, if the government is against you, find a way to get in the excuse me. I'm not even gonna say find a way to get in the government, but I just don't think the outside world should, I guess, poison your inner self. Like, you can be an angry person because this and this and this is going on, and you know you want to stand up for your rights, and you're allowed that. You're allowed to be almost filled with hate, I'm gonna say. But I just feel like your inner spirit, soul, how you go on about your day-to-day life, I just choose not to allow that to bring me down.
She tells
You
me,
know what I'm saying? Like,
don't let the world taint you.
right. Absolutely. Do not ever let the world taint you. You can fight the world and you can be angry about it while you're doing it. You're allowed that. But your spirit, I'm not gonna let the world taint me.
Here we go. I think that's the best note to end on as far as how we're going to define it, because what we believe in over here is self-awareness, and we can make a decision to not only place ourselves in certain environments that'll help us change, progress, or grow, but we also have a mindset that says whatever challenge comes to us, we can then make a decision on how it affects us. And I think I took that from you. I don't know if I took it the wrong way or took it the right way,
No.
took it the left way or took it the straight way. But I appreciate, that definition you've given us.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank y'all for having me.
We're gonna agree to disagree on some of this stuff, but I agree with toxicity. Listen, I agree. Thank you.
All right, big
All right, y'all.
Bye.